We have another jam-packed show coming your way on Philadelphia 76ers now, but first, I want to ask you this question. Summertime is here, and frankly, I'm jealous of a lot of you because I see the Instagram stories and the Snapchat stories of everybody down the Jersey Shore, but which shore in Jersey is the best? Now, I grew up going to Ocean City, New Jersey, dry town though, so as I got older, shifted over to Sea Isle City. Also think that Rehoboth Beach is a really good spot. Spent a lot of time there in my childhood, but you let me know your favorite Jersey Shore beach or different, whether it's Rehoboth, maybe even Ocean City, Maryland, down in the comments section, and let's start today's show. This is Philadelphia 76ers Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Chase Senior. Hope all of you are having a fantastic start to your week. We have so much to get to and unpack on today's show, but first, we start off with this coming from Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer. He reported today that the Sixers are exploring trades involving the number 23 overall pick after it was deferred from Brooklyn to Philadelphia, as well as Danny Green, who's going into the final year of his $10 million contract as Philly looks to clear some money off their books as he's coming off that really severe knee injury. Here's what KOC said about what Daryl Morey is possibly thinking. The Sixers are exploring trades involving this pick and Danny Green, according to sources. While Green was an important two-way wing for the Sixers, he tore both the ACL and LCL in his left knee back in the playoffs in May, and now he has an expiring $10 million contract. If they end up trading the pick, I'd imagine a raw, high upside player like Blake Wesley would have wide appeal. If the Sixers keep it, taking a swing could pay off since they don't have a first-round pick again until 2024 after the Nets deferred this year's pick to Philly's 2023 selection instead. That's a bet that the Sixers will be worse. So when you look at this potential scenario here, the Sixers are really weighing trying to chase veterans, to try to chase a championship right now, to hoist a Larry O.B. for the first time since the 80s when Dr. J was throwing down hammers at the Spectrum, with also clearing money and also drafting a young guy who's inexpensive, who you can develop over time and maybe give you some juice on this roster this upcoming year. So there are a couple of scenarios in which Philadelphia is monitoring right now. And if you get rid of Danny Green, when is he going to be able to come back in the 2022-2023 season? And if you can clear $10 million off your books, it allows you to spend in free agency to upgrade the roster, maybe get a 3-and-D wing. That's a position of need. Maybe you get a backup center behind Joel Embiid. Maybe you improve that bench. All three of those areas, big areas of need for the Sixers. And if Danny Green doesn't play at all, you clear that money off. That could be big for Philadelphia. As for Blake Wesley as an NBA draft prospect, he's been going down on some draft boards because there have been some other risers following the NBA draft combine and these pre-draft visits. When you watch him, the athleticism pops off the screen. He is really, really athletic going from baseline to baseline, and he could be a game breaker in that area. My problem with Blake Wesley as a prospect, way too inconsistent, as evidenced by the shooting numbers here. 14.5 points per game last year as a true freshman for a Notre Dame team that surprised a lot of people as a play-in tournament team, and then they make that little run in the NCAA tournament as well. But 40% shooter, 30% from three. Not ideal, of course. He needs to become a better shooter in order for him to be an impact player at the NBA level, but he's still really young because of that athleticism and that length. He has defensive upside. But last year, the selection of Jaden Springer, I didn't really like it at the time because his offensive game comes up short in a lot of departments for me. Pretty good athlete. Doc Rivers said after the year he thinks that he can become a really good defender. But in today's NBA, and when you look at the Sixers bench unit right now, I need more offense. I need more playmaking. I need more consistency and some more defense at those wing spots. Now, at the wing spot, you get more defense with Blake Wesley. He does not fulfill what I want and need on the Sixers roster in terms of offense. So with that KOC report, I want you to be the GM now. You're in the shoes of Daryl Morey. What do you want the Sixers to do with their pick? I want to hear from all of you in the comment section right now. Give me a K for keep it, T for trade it away. I'm leaning toward going T for trade it. I'm going to submit that in the comment section, but you let me know down below. Next up on the show, could the 76ers trade for Klay Thompson? A lot of things going on that front with both Philly as well as Golden State. And of course, it's going to be determined after the NBA Finals. But first, we're going to be going live for the NBA Draft on June 23rd, which is coming your way a week from Thursday. I've been diving into the tape, breaking down all of these prospects, myself and my boy Harrison Graham. Going to be live breaking down every single selection for all 2 rounds on June 23rd on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe. We just eclipsed 300,000 subscribers. Be the next one to join the family at youtube.com/chatsportstv. Year in, year out, we are the most watched NBA draft coverage on YouTube. We're looking to run it back yet again, and I hope all of you, my Philadelphia brethren, do join us. Now to Klay Thompson. Some juicy rumors out there with Klay, the future Hall of Famer, and before the injuries, one of the best two-way players that we've ever seen. Could Klay, be splashing it home in Philadelphia. Bad job by me. I messed up that pronunciation. It was a little bit of a tongue twister, though. Klay splashing in South Philly. Could it actually happen? The future of Klay with the Dubs could come into question depending on the NBA Finals and the result of it. Right now, deadlocked at 2-2 as this series goes back to San Francisco for Game 5 as we record this on Monday. I think the Warriors are going to take Game 5, but by the time you watch this, Game 5 may have already happened. But to the subject at hand, with Klay, is it going to be on this team moving forward? We'll see with that monster contract. Couple things that are factoring in this topic of conversation with the Golden State Warriors. Andrew Wiggins right now, entering the final year of his deal. He's not as injury prone as Klay. He's probably a better defensive player at this point than Klay Thompson. He's also a little bit younger, going into the final year of his deal. With the way that he's been playing this past year, making it to his first All-Star game, with how he's been playing during the NBA playoffs and in the NBA Finals, where at times he has looked like the second-best player on this Warriors roster outside of Steph Curry, who's been cooking, it might be a priority to sign Andrew Wiggins to a long-term deal, given his two-way ability. Jordan Poole going into this offseason, a rising star in this league on the offensive end, eligible for a contract extension. So Golden State is going into a very tricky scenario. Do you pay Andrew Wiggins and Jordan Poole? And if that's the case, can they afford Klay Thompson, whose numbers, whose play declining just a bit? You have looming injury issues with him, coming off that ACL and Achilles spell that caused him to miss a couple of seasons, and throughout the playoffs, he's really been sporadic. And as a shooter, that sometimes happens, but doesn't look to be the same player quite athletically as he once was during his prime. And could Golden State look to trade away Klay to bring in some reinforcements from Philadelphia, a team that's looking for that third star to team up, namely with Joel Embiid? We go back to that Brian Windhorst report from ESPN back a couple weeks ago when he said the Sixers and Daryl Morey, always aggressive, could be looking for the aforementioned third star. And then I was looking at some of these internet rumors with Klay Thompson and the trade rumors hovering around him, and I found this trade idea from Sportsnot. Sixers receive Klay. The Warriors receive Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris. The contract figures do work out for both parties here, so a trade would be able to be completed where the Sixers get one of the best shooters of all time and a guy who I think can become a better defensive player as he gets more acclimated with his body and recovers from those severe injuries. But who is Klay Thompson going to be in a couple of years, and who is he right now? I'll tell you this, after missing a couple of years for him in the regular season to put forward these averages of 20 points per game, nearly 18 field goal attempts as he's never been afraid to let it fly, 43% shooter and nearly 39% from three, really impressive numbers for the one iteration of the Splash Bros. As for in the playoffs, field goal opportunities have gone down. He's been sporadic, somewhat inconsistent, but he's had a couple of really big games. Closeout game against Memphis, closeout game against the Dallas Mavericks, and the 2 road games against Boston. He's had spells and he's had spurts where he's played pretty well. 19 points per game throughout the playoffs, nearly 17 field goal attempts, nearly 44% from the floor, and still solid numbers, almost 39% from three. I think that when people watch Klay, they see him get blown by defensively, and they see him go on some of these cold streaks, and they're like, Klay Thompson ain't the same guy. And yeah, you might be right with that he's not quite athletically the same player that he once was, but can he get back to some semblance of that form? Maybe. And it's also the inconsistency that allows you to form that opinion of Klay just not being as good as he once was. But those averages that we just showed you, pretty damn good. And when you think about the on-court fit next to Joel Embiid, and let's say James Harden for that matter, you need to get better at that wing spot by losing Tobias Harris. I would never trade away Tyrese Maxey. So the deal comes to a halt when the Golden State Warriors come calling, if they were, and they were to say, I need Tyrese Maxey, I ain't doing it. I'm holding on to the young stud and Philadelphia Sun. But it is fascinating nonetheless, and I want to gauge where you're at with this potential trade. You see it on your screen here. We'll pop it up once more. Klay Thompson, Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, all of the players in this trade. Who do you think would win it if it were to be completed? And by the way, I think the chances of it are very, very slim. Already people are probably just bashing it in the comment section. Clickbait, this is ridiculous. Yeah, I like having open-minded conversations, and I like talking ball, and at the end of the day, it is my job. Who wins the trade? 76 for Philly, GSW for the Golden State Warriors. Let me know in the comment section. And be sure to give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Chase_Senior. Love chopping it up with all my Philadelphia homies, and we're going to continue to cook up haters right here on the channel. So make sure you subscribe.